Hello guys and welcome back to Second Chance MTG. We're here with another match video here. Today we've got Charlie playing his famous patented blue-red Belcher deck and Ryan playing Dredge. Is he playing manaless Dredge or is he playing the regular Dredge?
I believe he's playing lands in his Dredge deck, which I think is the better archetype overall. I do feel that the manaless Dredge deck falls to a lot more of the pitfalls and legacy people tend to have, the ley lines, other answers, and the mana Dredge I believe is much better because they're able to sideboard and also just answers even in game one against a lot of the hate cards that they would normally come across.
Absolutely, I agree 100% that the regular Dredge has much more resiliency.
It looks like we're deciding what hands to keep. I'm not sure who's on the play yet. It looks like Ryan might be because he looks like he's pondering over his hand. Or Charlie just said he's keeping, so I guess...
Looks like they've started.
Yep. Ryan's going to lead off with a Putrid Imp. It allows him... You can discard a card to give it flying. And it doesn't really matter, because you're basically discarding the cards with the Dredge deck. As you can see, discard the Grave Trolls. It's not really there for the ability. It's there for the fact that it's a free way to discard cards. Starting off with Mana Confluence, which is really good in the Dredge deck. Looks like Charlie is... Charlie might be going off right now with the Belcher deck. Got Rite of Flame making 2 mana off the Semi-Spirit Guide, and we're gonna go
second Rite of Flame.
Yeah, second Rite of Flame. So that's actually
3 mana.
Yeah, so he's making he goes half.
There we got a Ritual.
Should be so right now.
I saw he has a Lion's Eye Diamond in his hand, and he's got the Belcher.
I believe he has 5 mana floating at the moment because the second Rite of Flame should have made 3, right. And that should be 1 floating with the Belcher. And yeah,
there we go.
That looks like the game. Well. We thought it'd be quick, ladies and gentlemen, but it's much quicker than even we anticipated.
There you go.
Charlie's going to show off his deck, show him, like, yes, I am playing no lands. What a shock. And, yeah, it looks like this game's going to game 2. Looks like Ryan's already picked up his stuff, but Charlie's still going. I mean, when you're playing an all-foil Belcher deck, why don't you got to give him the rubbins, Let him know. Yeah, I play Grim Monolith. This deck is very impressive. Char Belcher, again, without being disrupted, is a very scary deck to play against. And the Dredge deck, honestly, I don't believe plays much interaction, so this might be one of the fastest matches we've had on the channel yet. Looks like
negative 33 life. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad for turn 1, His opponent got to play a land and a creature, and then he subsequently died.
Oh, he got to discard 2 cards, too.
He did, yes. He was able to mulligan. Again, this is a really hard matchup for the Dredge deck. Dredge is kind of a deck that's there to punish the more fair decks of Legacy, like Delver and some of the control decks, even decks like the old Miracles deck, and they're just the more controlling decks that have a hard time interacting with the graveyard. It's more there for those decks. It's not very good against these linear combo decks, and Belcher being one of the more linear, fast combo decks. This is a really tough matchup for Ryan. I mean, I'm curious to see what Ryan has to bring to the table. I'm sure he has some artifact enchantment removal, being, Dredge, and people typically bring in enchantments and artifacts against him. It'll be interesting to see what he has to bring to the table to try to interact with his opponent in the second game.
Likewise from Charlie, probably going to see maybe some additional ley lines.
Yeah, I don't even know if Charlie really needs to bring in much in this matchup. I feel like the matchup is so much in his favor that he could probably pretty much present the same 60 and probably be fine. I mean, he probably has 1 or 2 cards to bring in, but I'd be surprised to see Charlie bring in more than like 4 cards. Well, yeah, this is some of the dynamic of Legacy. Sometimes you have, the 2 decks that really don't interact with each other, and it just comes down to a race. And again, Dredge is more designed to play against the more interactive decks in the format, versus Belcher is actively bad against those decks. So it's very interesting to kind of see the clash of the ideals in the matchup. And sadly for the Dredge player, this is not... The Belcher deck is very happy to see a deck that doesn't really play interaction.
Looks like we're finishing up the sideboarding now.
Yep. Ironically, taking longer than a match, ironically. But I guess, again, that's what happens when you have decks like Belcher that are just super fast and can be very consistent at times. And the Dredge deck, while consistent, is just not a deck that can have that kind of fast start. We're going to be presenting in a minute. I'm curious. I wasn't sure if Charlie actually put himself on the draw because I know With his ley lines in his deck, he actually has told me before that he likes to be on the draw with this deck because it allows him to get his ley line. And when he has ley line on turn 1, is essentially stealing the play back from his opponent anyway.
Yeah, taking the draw is definitely an interesting thing. I've seen him before do opening the ley line and playing a Days Undoing on turn 1, where if your opponent keeps their opening 7, you kind of make them draw a new 7 and force them to keep a hand of 7 without actually mulliganing, and while you at the same time can then do that.
Yeah, that's a fantastic interaction with his deck. If a turn 1 Days Undoing with a ley line, he can force his opponent to keep a 7-card hand even if it's unfunctional. And again, even if his opponent hadn't played a single card in the game, he had not taken a single game action, it can be like starting a game with a hand where you had no choice, you had to keep it, and that can be very problematic, especially in a format like Legacy where mulligans are paramount to winning matches. All right, I can't tell everything that's in Ryan's hand. I think I see some mana confluences, an Icarid's in there. I don't know if he has any interactive pieces.
Grave Troll. Doesn't look like he has any form of interaction.
Well, that's going to be really problematic for him. I mean, I don't know what interaction he even has in his sideboard for this matchup, but I think that whatever interaction he has, he probably has to either aggressively mulligan to it or have a hand that is capable of going off very quickly.
Well, looks like he's decided to keep his hand. It didn't look particularly fast, but it did definitely look playable.
I do think, unfortunately for Ryan, that I don't think he has much interaction with his matchup probably in general. I'm assuming he has some stuff, but not very much. So he probably just has to keep a hand like this, especially on the second game where he's already down a game. Where I think I'm much more of an advocate of kind of keeping these like hands that are kind of linear, but also like don't have interaction, but they're able to have your game plan go properly. And I think the hand's functional to keep on the second game, trying to hope that Charlie stumbles a bit in this game, and then maybe in the third game he mulligans more aggressively towards his hate cards. Looks like Charlie's contemplating his 6. Look, he's going to keep. I see some mana rocks in there. I have a hard time seeing what else, but
looked like he scried a spirit guide to the top, I think.
Oh, ley line. Is that a ley line of sanctity, it looks like?
It is a ley line of sanctity.
Okay, that's fascinating. I'm actually surprised to see Charlie bring that card in here. I feel like the Dredge deck doesn't really interact with him in particular that much. I guess he has a Cabal Therapy now, so I stand corrected. I guess the Dredge player has to name himself here, and that's fine. He's going to discard a Grave Troll. He's going to reveal his hand. Okay. I mean, that's it looked like that was the plan to begin with anyway, because it looked like he had no other way to get the creature into the graveyard. Or is that... Actually, I can't tell. Is that a Careful Study? I'm not sure. It looks like it might be in his hand. But regardless, I think he's fine with this outcome. Cabal Therapy and Charlie's a little difficult. I guess he can name Belcher, but it's really hard to name specific cards, especially on turn 1. Again, I'm surprised to see Charlie with the ley line in game 1. I think that Ryan has such little interaction against him. I think he's probably better off just trying to brace him with the resources he has and not bring in like cards that try to limit the few ways Ryan interacts with him.
Doesn't Dredge's win condition target a player?
Dredge typically wins with reanimating a big creature. Flanking Zealot's typically the most popular, but sometimes they also go off with... Sometimes they have Silver Bowl creatures like Iona, which would be very powerful in this matchup, as well as sometimes like cards like Ashen Rider. So I think that Dredge, the Legacy Dredge doesn't usually target its opponent besides for cards like Cabal Therapy. So I'm still a little surprised to see the ley line. Though again, Cabal Therapy is very powerful, and Ryan's deck is the best Cabal Therapy deck in the format. He's going to Dredge 6 with the Grave Troll. There's a Nature's Claim.
He put a Bridge from Below in.
Yeah, Narcomoeba. That's a good pickup. That's going to trigger the graveyard. Again, he milled Nature's Claim, which is a card he probably would like to draw, but that's acceptable. That's the thing with Dredge. You really can't grow too attached to the cards in your deck because they're going to end up in your graveyard usually. So yeah, it's a pretty good start here. Looks like for Ryan. Yeah, he's going to play Cephalid Coliseum. That's a card that's a really powerful card in the Dredge deck. He's one away from Threshold. And once he has Threshold, he's able to just go nuts with his Cephalid Coliseum and just get a million cards in the graveyard. I'm curious to see... He might actually even Cabal Therapy himself again just to get Threshold online because the Narcomoeba is not doing very much here. It looks like that is the case. He's going to... He's hacking the...
He also gets the Bridge from Below trigger, makes his Narcomoeba, turns his 1/1 flyer into a 2/2 zombie.
Yeah, it looks like he's doing exactly what I was saying. He wants to get Threshold for that Cephalid Coliseum. And then he's probably going to go ahead and sack that and just dredge a whole lot with this Grave Troll. So no, I guess he's going to go for the Careful Study plan. It's probably a little more conservative. It makes sense, though. If it's another Dredger off this Grave Troll, it allows him to keep going off. And the land is still pretty useful at this moment. Okay, looks like he got a Stinkweed Dip at the very least. And yeah, it looks like Stinkweed Dip's really the only good hit in that pile, unfortunately. But it allows him to keep going, and that's really the important part. Yeah, I'm going to Dredge the Imp now. Narcomoeba's good. Another Cabal Therapy. Okay, it looks like the second Dredge was a little better. He hit a Faithless Looting, a Narcomoeba, and a Nicarid. As long as he remembers his Narcomoeba trigger after this Careful Study resolves, he'll be able to get that into play. And with the looting, and again the Icarid in his graveyard, he's going to be able to put a decent clock on Charlie, I believe, and force Charlie to go off in the next couple turns. Okay, Narcomoeba triggers. Does Ryan have a third land in his hand? Because if he doesn't, I think I still like going for the Cephalid Coliseum play a little more because it lets him get more things going on. I think he has a third Mana Confluence, which I think if that's the case, I think I like going for the Careful Study because now next turn he can try to flash back the Faithless Looting, which can give him a lot more looks at cards in his deck.
Yeah, I think it looks like a Mana Confluence.
Yeah, he has another. I think it's a Mana Confluence and a
the Stinkweed Nymph.
Stinkweed Nymph in his hand, which is not really that relevant. It's probably something he'll just discard down the line. Looks like Charlie. I mean, I can't tell. He has some Mana Rocks in his hand. Looks like that's
it's a Chrome Mox there.
Putting
a Jetaxan Probe.
It looks like Charlie's gonna try to do something, get something in the board right now. Spirit Guide, so it's 2 mana. He might be going off here. Looks like he has a Lion's Eye Diamond in his hand, so that's one of the best cards in his deck. This could be really scary.
Yeah, Manamorphose.
I assuming filtering into red and blue because that's typically the colors in his deck he plays. So
yeah, it draws another Lion's Eye Diamond.
Oh, looks like we have Urayu.
Oraio. Yeah. And now he can play the Lion's Eye Diamond, which will trigger this to flip it.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. So he's going the Urayu game plan in this game. And luckily for Charlie, the Urayu actually didn't cost him that many resources. So, despite the fact that he had to play a ritual to play it, it looks like he still has a couple cards left in his hand. And he can probably still do future things for the next turn. It looks like he's also playing a. I think it's a Mox Opal, which is it's very shiny, but I believe it's a Mox Opal.
He has a Chrome Mox in play.
And a Mox Opal over there, right? Yeah.
Did he?
The other card he did play, I believe, is a Mox Opal, but. Alright guys, looks like Ryan is dredging for his turn. Obviously dredging the Grave Troll. Looks like he's hit another bridge, that's really good. Another bridge, and land. I think he really wants to hit a Dread Return here, because he needs to get something substantial into play in order to put a real clock on Charlie. And it looks like so far he's failed to do so, and Charlie doesn't look like he's been giving him much more time. Unfortunately, the Urayu's in play, but luckily with the Cabal Therapies, that's a very good way for him to play around the Urayu. So again, I'm a little surprised actually to see the Urayu in the deck post-board for Charlie's. I do feel like the Dredge deck has so many free spells it can play that it's very easy for them to just cancel out the Urayu countering the spell, just flashing back a Cabal Therapy. Looks like he's going to be dredging off of the Cephalid Coliseum right now. He's really looking for like an Elishnorn or something to really put the cinch in the game, I think. Or Elishnorn and Iona, I'm sorry. Looks like he hit the Iona. Now all he needs is the
Dread Return.
Dread Return. I don't think he hit it, but I think he gets one more look because he's dredging 3. Should be. What's he dredging now? Or
he actually does not have another dredger.
He has all the dredgers in his hand?
Yes, he did not pick up a dredge.
Okay.
So he had to draw his last card.
That's fine. It's not particularly great, but it looks like, unfortunately, he didn't hit Dread Return, which is what he really needs in this spot. He still has a lot of looks at it, and it looks like he's not dead yet. Charlie has only a couple cards in hand. He has 2 mana right now, so that's a little scary. If he can ever get a Belcher in play, this could be really problematic. Though, luckily, Ryan has Ancient cards, looks like, in his sideboard, and that's a very good card in this matchup. Being able to interact with all of Charlie's artifacts, and again, being something he can just mill over and play for free, essentially. Oh, it looks like he's getting his Archimeeba. Okay, he looks like he's sacrificing it. Okay, he's Cabal Therapy. So he's getting the Arayu triggered out of the way, it looks like, because he probably wants to play Ancient Grudge this turn on probably the Lion's Eye Diamond. Yeah, it looks like he's just... I think the players are having a discussion right now talking about the Leyline and the Cabal Therapy. He can still target himself with the Cabal Therapy, so there shouldn't be an issue here. And he can just name a
all
card.
Of his bridge from below triggers.
Yeah, he has 3 zombies now. He has a decent clock in play. It looks like he also returned the Icarid actually during his upkeep. I didn't actually notice that, but it looks like that is what he did. So it looks like Charlie is going to have about probably 2 more turns before he's dead here. It looks like he does have a Dredge return in the graveyard. He must have missed it. Oh, okay. So with the Dredge return, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a lock. I mean, Charlie can still play Charbelcher technically, as long as obviously Ryan names red, which is probably the color he names here. Again, I think that it's long he can still play Charbelcher, but the problem is he won't be able to play any more rituals to get to Charbelcher. So unless he draws some more artifact mana, it's something that I think is going to be good enough to win. Oh, it looks like he's just getting. Is that a Flankin Zealot? Yeah, I'm sorry, he's got Flankin Zealot. Is that enough? Is that lethal? Oh, yeah. It's good. All the creatures get +1 from the Flankin Zealot, so that's going to be 15 from the zombies. And the Flankin Zealot, I don't actually think is enough to kill him. Looks like Charlie's packing it in, though. I guess that was enough. He had the 5 zombies and the Flankin Zealot. Yeah, I guess that was enough. I mean, I kind of didn't really notice it in the graveyard. It's really hard to follow the Dredge deck sometimes. Yeah, I didn't even notice that he had the Dredge return in his graveyard either. That is, again, that's the Dredge game plan. Just get Dredge return as fast as possible and get something to win the game. And Charlie wasn't able to produce anything substantial in the first couple turns, so that's the game.
Yeah, the Arayu seemed a little weird to be in the deck, only because Dredge either doesn't cast spells or is only casting free spells.
Yeah, the problem is the Dredge deck has between Cabal Therapies and even just Faithless Looting and other cards, they have so many spells they can cast to just get the Arayu trigger out of the way, and then cast the Dredge return the spells they actually want to resolve. So I question the Arayu in the matchup, and I think even after that game, Charlie will probably go back to the sideboard and kind of rethink his strategy on the Arayu as well, because I do think he probably might have realized in that game 2 that it wasn't really that great for him to land in the first place. So yeah, the Dredge player got a game, which is very good for him. This matchup is pretty scary, being that on turn 1 he's basically just cold to whatever the Belcher deck throws his way. He has Ancient Grudge and Nature Scream in the sideboard, which are both very good cards for this kind of matchup, so at least he has some interaction. And I think in this game you'll probably see him take a little bit more of an aggressive stance of mulliganing, especially being on the presumably being on the play maybe against the Belcher deck, because Charlie I know likes to draw with this deck quite frequently. Again, I think Charlie's going back to the sideboard to kind of reconsider some things. But yeah, the Dredge deck and Legacy is just, it's very impressive. It can really power through a lot of disruption, and as long as you're not attacking in the graveyard directly, it's so much inevitability in the games, and it has able to interact with its opponent on a lot of different axes between the Cabal Therapies, the Ancient Grudge, the Bridges, and the Dredge return. You just have so many ways to, mess with, do things to your opponent without even spending mana. It's very impressive.
Yeah. Do you actually think Charlie's going to take the draw here, or do you think that he's going to try and take the initiative, maybe even go as far as taking some of his ley lines out and trying to just win as fast as possible, considering, there we just saw Dredge killing him on turn 2 when he was trying to, win the game presumably the next turn as soon as he found a Charbelcher.
Well, I think Days Undoing is really good in this matchup for multiple reasons. It's, again, it's a card that also shuffles the Dredge player's graveyard back into his library. So, and also just it's a main engine in his deck, and so I think for that reason alone, he doesn't want to board out the anticipations, because I think that, the anticipations with the Days Undoing are so powerful that you want to keep both interactions intact, so I think for that reason, he'll probably keep them in. Though, again, it's not really for this kind of matchup, because Dredge isn't interacting with him on the first turn anyway. So, it's not ideal here, but I do not think he boards them out. I think he keeps them in. I think the Arayu, as well as maybe some of the other win conditions, could be cut. Even something like Empty the Warrens is not necessarily great against Dredge, because Dredge has sometimes they play Elishor in the sideboard, and a lot of times they can just go so wide that they can just beat Empty the Warrens. So I think that Charlie would be better off cutting some of the win conditions and just trying to make it more of a Belcher game. Alright, looks like we're on 7.
Looks like Ryan's holding there a Faithless Looting. He had a couple of Grave Trolls. I don't think he had any lands, or if he did, he didn't have the right color. So it looks like he is taking them all.
It looks like Charlie did put Ryan on the draw, and that's kind of what I suspected. That Charlie's, he's playing his ley lines. He wants to be, he put Ryan on the play. He wants to be on the draw in these matchups because the ley line basically mitigates the downside of being on the draw. Charlie looks like he's debating his hand. Ryan took a pretty fast mulligan, which makes sense. His hand was can do like some bridge from belows and just kind of a lot of really slow stuff going out of the gate. And against Belcher, you don't really have time to be messing around for like multiple turns without interacting on the board. Luckily, the Dredge deck is one that mulligans very well. Historically, Dredge is a deck that mulligans quite often, but it's very happy to because the cards it has are so powerful in the interactions that it doesn't need its hand past a couple turns in the game. I see a Faithless Looting and a Gemstone Mine, as well as a Stuff Like Coliseum. That looks like a keep. Yep, he's going to scry.
Not sure what he scryed. I couldn't see it in the camera, but it does look like he decided to put it on the bottom.
Looks like,
and we are starting with both ley lines. Ley line of Sanctity and Ley Line of Anticipation.
Well, this game is going to be very interesting, folks. I think we're going to see some fireworks go off. Again, I question the Ley Line of Sanctity in the matchup. I guess he really respects Cabal Therapy, which I guess is somewhat understandable, being that it's probably Ryan's best interactive card in the matchup. Like, Ryan's going to draw. Okay. He's going to Gataxian Probe.
Get Probe after the draw step.
Yeah, he's funny. I know people thought Gataxian Probe was already too good, and here we are. Got us an instant now. Looks like he's going to lay out his hand for us. Got some lands over there. The Faithless Looting, the Putrid Imp. The Grave Troll, Stuff Like Coliseum. I can't tell what those last two on the bottom are. It looks like a Dredge Return, and I can't tell what the other one is, but the hand's not too bad. He has, again, Grave Troll, Faithless Looting, so that's a really good start for his deck.
So we saw Ryan draw there, so that actually means that Charlie did actually take the play.
Charlie did take the play, yeah, you are correct. It looks like Charlie did take the play that game. Okay, so it looks like he's doing the Putrid Dip turn 1 because he wants the Faithless Looting with the Grave Troll in the graveyard already, which makes sense because he just wants to get as many looks at cards in the graveyard as possible. Again, unfortunately, the part about siding cards with Dredge is that, he obviously put Nature's Claims in his deck, and he's probably never going to draw for the rest of the game here. So it's going to be a little unfortunate that he's probably never going to see the card like that out of his sideboard. It's like he's going to Dredge the Grave Troll in his draw step here, discarding it for the Putrid Dip. Exactly how that card was designed to be played.
Looks like we hit another Grave Troll for that Faithless Looting.
Looks like that was actually a pretty good Dredge. Looked like I think I saw a Bridge from Below as well. Or, no, it's a Dredge Return, I'm sorry. Dredge Return as well, so that's already got that in the graveyard. Exactly what you want with this deck.
Yep. And now we'll probably see him discarding the Grave Troll he just picked up and then playing the Faithless Looting.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have Faithless Looting here. I mean, it's gonna be able to see a lot of cards in his deck here. I mean, these are the scary draws out of the Dredge deck. He's going to dredge about a third of his library this turn, and that's going to give him a lot of options for what goes on in this game. All he needs to do is find an Iona or some other kind of really big creature for that Dredge Return, and you can probably set up for something that will win the game this turn. Looks like there's a Bridge from Below, a Stinkweed Imp, a couple other cards. It's going to dredge the other Grave Troll here. Let's see, an Narcomoeba is a good hit.
Good card.
So Nature's Claim. Another
like
Narcomoeba.
Looks like another Stinkweed Imp.
And then Cabal Therapy. Cabal Therapy being surprisingly good here, even with Charlie having the ley line, because he can still sack his creatures to get zombies. And he's going to have to discard the 2 first, and then he'll get back his Narcomoebas. It's always a little confusing with the sequencing of decks like this. So he's probably going to discard the 2 Grave Trolls. Makes sense, okay. And then he can trigger his Narcomoebas. Get those back into play. Luckily, Ryan is a seasoned Dredge player, so he doesn't miss his triggers or sequence them the wrong way. I believe he's playing Careful Study here. No, I'm sorry. That's I forget the name of this card, but it's where he draws X cards. He's blue X, draw X cards, and he discards his hand minus X. So he's going to end up discarding his entire hand here, but that's fine because he's going to dredge a whole bunch. And I'll hit the Iona off this. This is very problematic for Charlie. Unless Charlie has the win rolled up here, this could be the game.
Well, Charlie doesn't really need to have the win. He can still pull off like a Days Undoing. It looks like he does have a Days Undoing in his hand, I think.
Yeah, at the same time, again, this is the Iona is going to really cripple his development in the future. And again, Charlie is going to have a really good turn or a good response to the Iona on the stack through the Dredge return in order for him to have a shot in this game. Look at this. It's just dredging his whole deck's going in his graveyard. This is again the power of the Dredge deck. This is a turn 2, and look at what he's done. The Dredge deck, when undisrupted, is one of the more powerful things to be doing in Legacy, and this is a clear showcase of it.
Charlie laying out the graveyard a little bit cleaner for us here on the camera.
Yeah. Dredge doing its best to show us why it's really good for coverage. Looks like another Narcomoeba is going to come into play. The pile kind of closer to his Cephalid Coliseum is actually his board. The other parts is just graveyard. Well, we'll see. I'm assuming Ryan notices the Dredge return Iona in his graveyard, so I assume that's probably the next play he will make. Don't forget to tap with old Putrid Imp. You got to get your value.
I'm sure the Putrid Imp attack is exactly what he's worried about right now.
I think that it should be top priority. Alright, looks like he's going to be sacking these Narcomoebas to this Dredge return.
Making a dozen or so zombies.
I believe the Shield of Emeria is going to be coming into play momentarily. And Charlie is going to have a pretty big shield of his own to survive it coming into play. Oh, well, I think, does Charlie have a response to this? That's the question. Charlie's looks like he's just letting it happen. That is not good for Charlie. I'm not sure how he comes back from this card. Looks like it's naming red, as we so aptly predicted, and I think that might be pretty close to the game. I mean, Charlie might have some Echoing Truth or something in his sideboard to make him pick it up. I really hope he does. Otherwise, this game is basically over.
Even if he did have the Echoing Truths, getting enough mana to actually play it would be a struggle.
Yeah, it's going to be problematic for Charlie to win this game regardless. The Dredge player already has, besides the Iona, has 7 power in play. So and with the Imp he could actually make it bigger. So actually, to be honest, he can win in 2 turns even without the Iona. So it's going to be very hard for Charlie to get out of this board state. We talked about the Dredge deck kind of being slightly unfavored in this kind of matchup, but I mean sometimes the power of this Dredge deck is so vast. Yeah, it looks like Charlie just passed the turn. He's going to get back to 2 Icarids, and it looks like he has triggers on the stack. Charlie might have some responses. He might have a Days Undoing here to shuffle those back in. That's a nice little trick.
He does have the Days Undoing. I'm trying to see if he has the mana to play it. Looks like a Mox Opal.
Yeah, Mox Opal. Okay.
And then he's going to play Chrome Mox here, probably imprinting the Spirit Guide.
That makes sense. Oh, it looks like Empty the Warrens one underneath it.
Well, that's probably
which makes
even
sense.
better than the...
I questioned Empty the Warrens in this matchup to begin with, so it makes sense to put it underneath there. It's just
looks like... Is that a Lion's Eye Diamond in his hand that he can play to turn on Metalcraft? No, it looks like it's not, so he's going to let the Icarids resolve.
So there's 3 damage, or 6 from the Icarids.
So you have 6 from the Icarids, 6 from the zombies.
12. I believe this will be a lethal attack on this turn. This is a turn 3 kill with an Iona. The Dredge deck sometimes is very impressive. I think this is going to be the game unless Charlie has some kind of interactive card in this spot. It's like he's gonna just take a draw. I guess his graveyard's full enough. He doesn't really need to Dredge anymore. Though I probably would still want to Dredge.
Hoping his one pickup is gonna be.
Would you look at that? He drew Nature's Claim. That's
was in fact Nature's Claim.
I guess if you're gonna draw Nature's Claim, you'd rather draw it than Dredge it. So Ryan clearly the Dredge master here, and it's looking like this game's gonna be over momentarily. I think Ryan's going to just swing with the team, and that's going to be it. Yeah, get all the zombies in there, get the Icarids in there. There's 13. That is actual over 20 damage. Or actually exactly 20 damage, I believe. So, yeah, I mean, that's a lethal attack. I mean...
12. Yep, there we go. 20 damage.
Does Charlie have a response?
If he does, I would be surprised that he didn't do it in response to the Nature's Claim.
Okay, we got a Spirit Guide.
So here's exiling the Spirit Guide.
Okay, Rite of Flame. Alright, that's it. Yeah, swooping. 2 Days Undoing. That's it. That's the game. Dredge gets it.
Again, yeah, he had the Days Undoing. All he needed was just one more artifact, an LED, or a second Chrome Mox that he could even just choose not to imprint on.
Exactly.
And would have been able to play the Days Undoing.
Though, unfortunately, at the point when the Iona comes in to play the Days Undoing, it's just stemming the bleeding at that point. And yeah, the Dredge deck flexing its muscles in this match.